This is the 2022 Mazda CX-50, and for the first time, it is Jinba-Ittai off-road. Now that is Mazda's horse and rider philosophy that's more usually associated with its handling and its sporty feeling. This time they're applying that same methodology to an off-roader. Well, a soft roader. How is it different than the CX-5, and why is Mazda venturing off the beaten path for the first time? Well, let's explain. Under hood, you will find one of two different 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engines, one with a turbo, one without. Our test trim is the turbo model. That engine makes 256 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque on 93 octane gas, which is very expensive right now, or on 87 fuel, as I expect most owners will actually use. It makes 227 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. It's still a very strong engine no matter what fuel you're feeding it with. Now that is coupled to a 6-speed automatic transmission, and for Canada, every model you choose is all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is standard on the CX-50. It's clear just by looking at it that the CX-50 is a very different kind of Mazda. Usually, Mazda is looking to make the smallest and lightest entry in the segment. This time, the company says they are focused on making the CX-50 one of the largest vehicles in its class. Lower and wider than the CX-5, the CX-50 eschews a fastback roofline for a more traditional squared-off profile. The CX-50 ostensibly replaces the CX-5, but the two will be sold alongside each other for the time being. The off-road prowess has not come at the expense of on-road driving. For example, Mazda benchmarked the throttle response against a 997 generation Porsche 911. I'm guessing that the people who designed the RAV4 did not bother to do that. At highway speeds, the CX-50 is whisper quiet inside. The tire noise is especially well muted, even though our test car had winter rubber. The turbo torque is present from down low, and the CX-50 can move with authority when called upon. The CX-50 has a sport mode, which, when engaged, changes the transmission logic to hold the engine in lower gears for longer, increases the gain on torque vectoring control for tighter turn-in, and optimizes the traction control system for acceleration. In all, the CX-50 is exceedingly well-mannered on the road and is one of the best handling CUVs in its class. Inside, all CX-50s have a full panoramic sunroof regardless of trim. The Mazda hallmarks are also present. Strong, unbroken horizontal lines run the width of the dashboard and doors. The materials inside vary in quality but are overall impressive for the price point. Previously, Mazda gave us touchscreens but wouldn't let us use them if the car was moving. On the CX-50, you or your passenger can finally use the touchscreen while moving so long as you are using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and you have to manually go through the menu screens and select the ability to use the touchscreen while moving, as the car does not default to this. In Canada, the CX-50 is available in 3 trim levels: GSL, GT, and GT Turbo. All trims have all-wheel drive standard. The GSL comes in at $37,900, and the top-tier GT Turbo will cost you $45,350. The 2 lower trims can only be spec'd with the naturally aspirated 2.5-liter engine, and the top GT Turbo is the only one where you can get the turbo engine and its increased 3,500-pound towing capacity. Standard models are good to tow 2,000 pounds. All in all, the CX-50 represents a really interesting new direction in Mazda CUVs. More adventure, more outdoors focused than previous models, less focused on the urban environment. However, it hasn't forgotten its city manners. The CX-50 will be arriving in dealerships this May, and if you're shopping in this very competitive segment, it's definitely worth a look. For more first drives and CUV reviews, don't forget to check us out online on Driving.Ca. For Driving.Ca, I'm Clayton Seams.